I recorded this back when the event ran on CN, took me an entire day to get it right. I'll mostly talk about the boss mechanics and we can use the run as a background. I want to talk about Swap 1 a bit since she's such a mechanically unusual boss. In the first phase she's a global damage caster, throws arts damage around, has some AoE, some dots, nothing too interesting. She herself is a flying enemy, even though she doesn't move and can never go to the blue boxes. In fact, you don't have any real timeout condition here, the stage can last forever if you just defend the blue boxes from the occasional enemy she spawns. You can see the sheep at the center. Basically, Amiya decided Rhodes Island hasn't committed every kind of war crime yet, and that we need to add biological warfare to our list. So we have a device here to expose some civilians to our Originium. There are several versions of it. The one I'm using right now does elemental fire damage in the pink tiles you see around. There is also a pink tile under WAP 1 that can't be seen from here. This is the only thing that can really kill WAP 1, since Utage has no way to attack her and deep cover would take a million years to kill her. Right, now the actual weirdness. You can see a kill count on the left. Both WAP 1 and my operators target enemies and try to kill as many as possible. If you win the kill count race, she loses her damage reduction for a bit. This is irrelevant to me since I'm killing her with elemental damage that only hits her before her damage reduction is removed, but that's how you normally kill her. You win the DPS check and then you shoot her. But what happens if you lose the DPS check? Well, obviously if you have a benefit for losing, you need to have some punishment. If you have a benefit for winning, you need to have some punishment for losing, right? Yeah, but no, nothing happens if you lose. You can lose it as many times as you want and it doesn't matter at all. Since I'm a YouTuber and I'm allowed to just make shit up, I assume they had the mechanic placed where you get punished really hard, say lose 1 life, anytime you fail this, but they found it too punishing, since the event is a bit complicated anyway, and decided to remove it. Since we're killing her with elemental damage, it's going to take quite a while. She's not actually tanky, I could kill her by pointing haze and click at her once, but we're doing minimum operators here, and I need to use the device because I'll need Estelle and Utage for the second phase. As for what I'm doing here, I need to get an incomplete cycle from this device. I won't go into too much detail of explaining how this device works, I'll save that for a separate video. But basically, while it's active, enemies will attack the device instead of going to the blue boxes. They'll even path directly into it if they're melee enemies. The reason I need to get an incomplete cycle and let enemies damage it is because I need WAP 1 to die from an elemental proc. If she didn't have a full bar, she would die too early for me. This is because once she enters her second phase, she will immediately restart the device. This doesn't work for me, I need the device to be on a different timing, so to set that up, I need the device to die the moment WAP 1 resurrects. What that will do is that the mechanic will fail to trigger, so normally the device will activate the moment she enters her second phase, but in this case, nothing of the sort will happen. That slight change in timing will become... you'll see why that's for in a minute or so. Killing the final wave while waiting for the fire device. It doesn't actually matter if I win the DPS check, but I do need to prevent the enemies from hitting the device to line up the timing properly. And also if there's leftovers, they'll just walk to the blue box afterwards. The device kills her, and then just as she resurrects, it pops. Now there's no device to activate. She misses the timing of the skill to fire it up, and then we have a delayed activation from what it normally would be. I don't think this is that useful normally, because she still has damage reduction in the second phase, so you do want the device to activate. But I found a really helpful way to abuse it, because WAP 1 second phase does pretty good AoE damage, so we can use her to kill most of the enemies that are left. She only spawns the trash mobs, but there are some other spawns on the map from what weapon spawns when the device activates, namely the trucks. You can see she attacks enemies if they're in range, even though the device isn't active, but she will prioritize your operators if they're deployed. The debuff she applies is a silence, you can't activate your skill. Find it kind of underwhelming, that's not how actual silence works. You know, it blocks you from... It stops skills that are already active, so it's a bit weird. I feel like you should have done that. And this is why we had to change the skill activation. Now we can have Wapwant nuke absolutely everything. In her second phase she can actually leave the stage. She whoops around the device about 3 times and then she goes into the blue boxes. The fire damage still hits all of those tiles though, so I get the full damage on her. And Utage can be finally dropped to damage Wapwant. I have barely enough time to finish off her second phase, thanks to the device doing a bit of elemental damage. All the normal enemies are done, so all that's left is the final spawn. It's important to remember you can redeploy everything if you want to, between every device activation. Makes the map and other boss maps a whole lot easier. This time we actually really need to win the DPS check, since Utage can actually damage her. So, but it's really easy, because we can eat all of the trash mobs before they even get close to her. Because she no longer has global range. Though it isn't true for me, for most of this stage. It's interesting that sometimes you might want to let enemies hit the device, just so it can cycle a bit faster. Like if you're ahead on the kills, you can just make sure some enemy breaks it, and then you get a freebie. Even if you only have 2 kills to her 1, if the device is broken, the chase is over. There is no minimum amount of kills you need to get. And that's it. Well, the mechanics are pretty complicated, the event isn't difficult, kind of like Gavio's cars.